You are amongst many who pointed out that sanctions generally don't work. Tell us a little bit about that. Has there been anywhere in history where economic sanctions have worked? And if they are to work in this case, what needs to be done?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have a fairly long track record with sanctions. You know, there have been many efforts to do it, going back to the ancient times with sieges and stuff. And the fundamental problem is this: if a country believes that its core interests are involved, and Putin clearly has this kind of nationalist vision of uniting all the Russian-speaking people, the Belarusians, the Ukrainians, perhaps people in Georgia. This is a fundamentally nationalist, somewhat irrational project that is not about cost-benefit calculations. And Putin doesn't suffer many of the costs of sanctions. We've seen this before. Castro did not suffer the costs of the sanctions placed on Cuba. He lived like a king. The Iranian regime lives in gilded cages, even though their people starve. So you're never able to quite penetrate through. Now, there are a few cases where it does seem to have worked. South Africa with apartheid. There were other things going on, but the sanctions clearly hurt. Iran with its nuclear program, which is why they signed on to the deal. What were the characteristics? It really has to be comprehensive. It really has to feel like the country is being completely cut off from revenue sources. Only way to do that with Russia is to attack the goose that lays the golden egg. That is their oil revenues, their natural gas revenues. Right. If Russia is fundamentally a petrostate, that's really the source of its wealth. If you do not sanction that, I think you are fundamentally not going to be able to do it. And I've argued that the one advantage the United States and other countries in this coalition have is that there is a great deal of non-Russian energy supply that can be brought to the market. The United States is the largest producer of liquid hydrocarbons in the world. Venezuelan oil is off market because of Trump's sanctions. Those could be suspended. Iranian oil is off market because of sanctions. Those could be suspended. If the Iran deal is, they're close to renewing the Iran deal, that would bring it back. Saudis have spare capacity. The UAE has spare capacity. Canada has spare capacity. So if you were to really approach it in a concerted way, you could cut the Russians off or massively diminish the supply while replacing it on the markets. It feels to me, without that, sanctions are going to be something that hurt the Russian people. Yes, they will affect Putin and they will constrain him a bit, but they're not going to stop him.